I realized my wife had already replaced me the moment she stopped reacting when I walked into the room. And the worst part, I didn't notice it the first time it happened. If you had asked me what kind of marriage I had, I would have said, normal. Not exciting, not broken, just normal. The kind people stop questioning after a few years. I was 43, married for 16 years, one kid. Noah, 13. We lived in Phoenix. Hot, quiet, predictable. My wife, Erica, worked at a small design firm. I managed operations for a warehouse. Nothing glamorous, nothing unstable, just life. We weren't the kind of couple that posted everything online. No big anniversary captions, no curated moments. But we also weren't the kind people worried about. We didn't fight much, that didn't have dramatic issues. We were steady. At least, that's what I thought. Erica used to notice me. That sounds simple, but it matters more than people think. When I walked into a room, she'd look up, even if it was just for a second. She'd acknowledge me, not in a big way, just enough. A glance, a smile, a small hey. That kind of thing builds something over time. You don't think about it while it's happening. You only notice when it's gone. The first time it changed, I didn't register it. I came home from work, same as always, dropped my keys, walked into the living room. Erica was on the couch, phone in her hand, and she didn't look up, not even for a second. That shouldn't mean anything. People get distracted, people miss moments. That's normal. So I ignored it. But then it happened again, and again, and again. At first, I told myself, she's tired, that she's busy. She just didn't notice. Because that's easier than asking, why didn't she react to me at all? That's the thing nobody talks about. When someone stops reacting to you, it doesn't feel like rejection at first. It feels like nothing. And that's worse. Erica didn't pull away dramatically. She didn't argue, didn't complain. She just stopped engaging. Conversations became shorter, more functional. Did you get groceries? What time is Noah's practice? Can you pick him up tomorrow? All necessary, all empty. At night, we still sat on the same couch. Same positions, same shows. But something had shifted. We weren't watching together anymore. We were just in the same room. There's a difference. You feel it, even if you don't understand it yet. Erica stopped laughing at things I said. Not because I wasn't funny, because she wasn't listening closely enough to care. I remember one specific moment, because it stuck with me longer than it should have. I made a joke, something small. She didn't react, didn't smile, didn't respond, just kept looking at her phone. I waited a second, then said, "You didn't even hear that, did you?" She looked up. "Oh, sorry." "What?" "That word. Sorry." It didn't feel like apology. It felt like distance. "It's nothing," I said, and I meant it. At least, I thought I did. That's how it starts. Not with betrayal, with disconnection. The next change was more subtle, but harder to ignore. Erica stopped asking about me. Not completely, just gradually. She used to ask, "How was work? What happened today? You seem off, what's going on?" At some point, those questions disappeared. At first I thought, she trusts me to handle things. But that wasn't it. She just stopped expecting me to share anything meaningful. And when no one asks, you stop offering. Noah filled most of the space. School, sports, friends. Erica was fully present with him. Listening, engaged, involved. I watched that, and something about it felt familiar. Like I had seen that version of her before, directed at me. Around that time, she started smiling at her phone more. Not constantly, just enough. A message would come in. She'd look down, and something in her face would change. Softer, more alive. Then she put the phone down and go back to neutral. I noticed it. Of course I did. But I explained it away. Friends, work, group chats. There's always a normal explanation, if you don't want to look deeper. One night, we were in the kitchen. Noah upstairs. Erica was leaning against the counter, scrolling. I was standing a few feet away. And I said, "We don't really talk anymore, do we?" She didn't look up right away. Then, "We're talking now." Same answer. Same pattern. Something about that response felt familiar. Like I had said it before. Like I had used the same logic to shut something down. A long time ago. "Yeah," I said. "We are." And that was it. Conversation over. A few days later, something changed. Not in her. In me. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. The way she positioned her phone. Always face down. The way she tilted it slightly away when typing. The way she checked it late at night. After I closed my eyes. One night I woke up, Randomly. Couldn't sleep. I turned slightly, and I saw the light. Her phone. Under the blanket. She was typing. Slow, careful. Like every word mattered. I watched for a second. Not moving. Not breathing too loudly. Then, I saw her smile. Not a big one. Not obvious. Just real. I hadn't seen that smile directed at me in a while. The next morning, everything was normal. Coffee, breakfast, routine. Like nothing had happened. But now, I couldn't unsee it. A few nights later, I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet. Noah wasn't back yet. Erica was in the living room. Phone in her hand. Screen glowing. Unlocked. And this time, I didn't just notice. I looked. I didn't mean to look. That's what I told myself. But that's not entirely true. Because at that point, I already knew something was there. I just didn't know what shape it had yet. The phone was in her hand. Unlocked. She wasn't expecting me home yet. That mattered. Because when people think they're alone, they stop managing what they reveal. I stepped into the room quietly. Not sneaking. Just not announcing myself. And from where I stood, I could see enough. Not everything, but enough. The message was open. Mid-conversation. And the line I saw first was, I miss talking to you like this. My chest tightened. Not sharp. Slow. Like something settling into place. Because that sentence didn't belong to casual conversation. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't neutral. It was emotional. Then another message came in. Right under it. It feels different with you. That one hit harder. Because it wasn't about missing. It was about comparison. Different. Better. More. I stood there for a second. Still. Trying to process it without reacting. Because once you react, everything changes. Hey. Her voice cut through it. She had looked up. Saw me. And in that moment, everything shifted. She locked the phone instantly. Too fast. Too intentional. Hey, I said. My voice sounded normal. That surprised me. How long have you been home? She asked. Just got in. Not a lie. But not the full truth either. She nodded. Set the phone down. Screen facing down. That movement said more than anything else. We stood there for a second. In that strange space where both people know something has changed. But neither one has said it yet. How was your day? She asked. Same question. Same routine. Fine, I said. Then I looked at her. Really looked. And said, I saw your messages. Silence. Immediate. Heavy. She didn't ask what I saw. She didn't act confused. She didn't pretend. That told me everything. What did you see? She asked. Not denial. Not shock. Just control. I saw enough, I said. She looked down. Then back at me. And something in her face changed. Because in that moment, she stopped hiding. How long? I asked. Same question. Different story. She took a breath. A while. That answer again. Always vague. Always safe. How long, Erica? She held my gaze. And this time, she didn't avoid it. A few months. Of course. Months. Not a mistake. Not a moment. Something that had time to grow. And it's not just talking, I said. Not a question. She shook her head. No. Just that. No explanation. No defense. Just truth. Are you seeing him? That question changed everything. Because now, there was no space left. She hesitated. Just enough. Then, yes. Quiet. Clear. Final. I nodded once. No reaction. No anger. Just confirmation. Because I already knew. How many times? I don't know. That answer again. I almost expected it. I don't know doesn't mean not knowing. It means not wanting to define it. Do you love him? That question stayed in the air longer than anything else. Because now, this wasn't about actions. It was about meaning. She looked at me. Really looked. And for the first time, she didn't answer right away. I don't know, she said. Of course. But this time, it didn't feel like avoidance. It felt like confusion. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Unavoidable. Why? I asked. That was the real question. Not who. Not how long. Why? She didn't answer immediately. She leaned against the counter. Like she needed something to hold her up. Then she said, because I stopped feeling anything here. That sentence. Cut deeper than everything else. Because it wasn't about him. It was about us. I'm here, I said. Even as I said it, I knew what she meant. She shook her head. No, she said. You're around. But you're not really with me. That difference. I had never thought about it. Being present. And being there. Two completely different things. I tried, she said. And I believed her. Because I remembered. Every small moment. Every attempt. Every time she reached for something deeper. And I gave her something surface level instead. I didn't think it was this bad, I said. She looked at me. And her answer was quiet. I know. That one hurt the most. Because it meant this had been happening for a long time. Just not for me. We stood there. Two people in the same house. Looking at each other like strangers. Upstairs. I heard Noah's door open. Then footsteps. Life continuing. Normal. Except it wasn't. Does he know about me? I asked. Yes. What did you tell him? That you're a good man. That hit. Harder than expected. And a husband. She didn't answer. Didn't need to. I nodded slowly. Then asked the only question that mattered now. Are you leaving? She looked at me. And for the first time, she didn't have an answer ready. I don't know. That answer again. But now, it meant something else. It meant she hadn't decided. Which meant she was already somewhere else. She stepped closer. Not too close. Just enough. I didn't plan this, she said. I nodded. Yeah, I said. Neither did I. And that was the truth. Not clean. Not simple. But real. The worst part wasn't that there was someone else. It was that he became someone important, while I was still standing in the same place. Thinking nothing had changed. While I was still standing in the same place. Thinking nothing had changed. That was the part that stayed with me. Not the messages. Not even the fact that there was another man. It was the realization that I had been living inside a version of our marriage that no longer existed for her. And I didn't notice when she left it. Erica stood across from me in the living room, arms folded lightly, not defensive, just holding herself together. I could see it now. Not just distance. Fatigue. The kind that builds over time. Quietly, without arguments. What's his name? I asked. My voice sounded steady. That surprised me. Jason, she said. Of course it was something ordinary. That bothered me more than it should have. There's something about betrayal that feels like it should come with drama. A name that means something. But no. Just Jason. How do you know him? Through a project at work, she said. We started talking. Then just kept going. That phrase again. It just kept going. Like it had no beginning to no decision point. Just momentum. How long have you been seeing him? She didn't hesitate this time. Since late spring. Late spring. I did the math without wanting to. That meant months. Summer. Family dinners. Normal days. All of it happening while something else was growing underneath. Did you sleep with him? No. Fast. Certain. I believed her. Or at least I believed that she believed it mattered. But standing there, I realized something I hadn't expected. That wasn't the part that hurt the most. It was this. She had built something with someone else. Before anything physically happened. What did you tell him about me? I asked. She looked down. Then back up. That you're a good man. Same answer. Same pattern. And that we don't really connect anymore. That landed. Hard. Because it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't exaggerated. It was accurate. I wanted to argue. To defend myself. To list everything I did. Everything I handled. Everything I carried. But I also knew none of that answered what she was actually saying. Connection isn't about effort. It's about presence. And somewhere along the line, I had replaced presence with routine. Did you tell him you were unhappy? I asked. Yes. And what did he do with that? She looked at me. And for the first time, her voice softened. He listened. That again. I let out a breath. Long. Slow. Because those two words kept coming back. Not, he's better than you. Not, he makes me happier. Just, he listens. And somehow, that was enough. I sat down on the couch. The same couch we had sat on 100 times. But now, it felt different. Does Noah know anything? I asked. No, she said quickly. Nothing. He knows we've been off. But not this. Off. That word again. I looked toward the hallway. And right on cue, I heard movement. Footsteps. Noah appeared. Half asleep. Phone in hand. Why are you guys still up? He asked. Erica answered too quickly. Why are you up? He looked at her. Then at me. That didn't sound normal. Teenagers. They don't need details. They just need tone. Are you guys fighting? He asked. There it was. I hate that question. Because it assumes there are only two options. Fighting. Or fine. It doesn't account for this. The space in between. Erica stepped forward. No, we're just talking. Noah didn't move. About what? Silence. He looked between us, reading everything we weren't saying. Are we okay? He asked. That question. Now it happened. Not who did what. Are we okay? I felt something shift inside me. Because in that moment, this wasn't about us anymore. It was about him. I walked closer. Not too close. We love you, I said. That hasn't changed. He held my gaze, trying to decide if that was enough. Then he looked at Erica. She nodded quickly. Always. He didn't look convinced, but he nodded. Okay, he said, flat, and walked back upstairs. We listened to his door close, and then the silence came back, heavier this time, because now, it wasn't just between us. I sat back down, slower, more aware. Are you leaving? I asked again. Same question, different weight. She didn't answer immediately, and that was the answer. I don't know, she said. Of course. That answer again. But now, I understood it differently. It didn't mean confusion. It meant she hadn't chosen me. She sat down across from me. For the first time. I didn't mean for this to happen, she said. I nodded. I know. Because I did. No one plans this. Not like this. It builds. Quietly. In all the moments that don't feel important at the time. I try to talk to you, she said. And I believed her. Because I remembered. Every small moment. Every time she reached. Every time I gave her just enough. To avoid going deeper. I thought we were fine, I said. She looked at me. And her answer was quiet. I know. That one was the hardest. Because it meant we were living in two different realities. I leaned back, looked at the ceiling, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. This didn't start with him. It started long before that. In the silence. In the routine. In the moments I dismissed. He didn't take her from me. He stepped into a space I had already left open. That doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it okay. But explains it. And sometimes, that's worse. Are you willing to end it? I asked. That question changed everything. Because now, there was no middle ground. No more I don't know. She looked at me. And her face said everything before she spoke. Not anger. Not guilt. Fear. Not of losing me. Of losing him. I don't know how, she said. That hit hard. Because it meant this wasn't just a mistake anymore. It was something real to her. Something she wasn't ready to let go of. And in that moment, I understood something I wish I had understood earlier. Most relationships don't end when someone cheats. They end when one person stops being emotionally seen and finds that somewhere else. By the time the other person notices, it's already been happening for a while. If you're watching this, and something in your relationship feels off, not broken, just quieter, more distant, less real, don't ignore it. Don't wait for proof. Don't wait for messages. Don't wait for that moment when everything becomes obvious. Because by then, you're not discovering the problem. You're discovering how long it's already been there. Erica betrayed me. That's true. But the part that still stays with me is this. By the time I finally paid attention, my wife wasn't deciding whether she cared about someone else. She was deciding whether life without me felt easier.